This is the Patrick Alexander Podcast. Welcome to your upgrade. Welcome. Good to have you with me here today. Thanks for being here. So, this podcast is about personal responsibility. It's about what changes when people stop outsourcing their health, their body, and their life, and they start taking responsibility for how they live. Today, I am joined by Aura McCullough. McCullough is the right way to pronounce it?
Yep, that's right.
McCullough. Today, I'm joined by Aura McCullough. Aura's story includes long-term weight loss through Carnivore, breaking free from food and cannabis addiction, restoring fertility, conceiving naturally, and carrying a carnivore pregnancy through a home-free birth. This is not a success story showcase per se, and it's also not a set of recommendations, but it's a conversation about what happens when the cost of staying the same becomes unacceptable. Aura, welcome.
Thank you. That was quite the intro.
Thank you very much. Yeah, well, I'm super happy you're here. So, Aura, tell me, as you sit here now, what feels most different for you compared to a few years ago?
Oh my goodness. I would say probably the control that I have in my life and the entire mindset and outlook that I have in life. I feel like before life just happened to me, if that makes sense. And now I don't necessarily buy the luck of the draw kind of thing. I think that my husband and I, we live so intentionally, so meticulously that everything that happens is kind of foreseen in a sense. Like, I know I'm gonna feel good. I know things are gonna work out for us. I just kind of, I do feel like everything's just gonna go my way because we are being so intentional about the way that we're living in every single aspect.
That's amazing. So that
Thank
almost
you.
seems like, that almost sounds like a spiritual journey as well.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, even when you said it in the intro, cannabis addiction, it's funny. I used to wake up and literally next to my bed, I would have had a pre-rolled joint ready to go. And 2, 3 years ago, if you said you were addicted to weed, I'd be like, what are you talking about? I can stop whenever I want. And now smoking weed at 8 in the morning before you even brush your teeth, that sounds like insanity. That sounds like craziness. Um, and now it's just funny to like look back on certain things that I kind of just dismissed and seem normal and whatever, that's life. And now it's like I don't need that. I'm naturally high all the time. I wake up ready to go, super excited, positive all the time. So definitely.
It's so interesting what you said because, I mean, everybody's got their own vice when it comes to some type of addictive personality, right? For mine, it has always been tobacco.
Hmm.
And you see, and I see this within myself, and I wonder if you see this within yourself as well, and I see it within so many people. When you're addicted to something, and it might even be the case with like carbohydrates and sugar, when you're addicted to something, and people tell you you're addicted because they can see you're addicted, like smoking weed at 8 in the morning, you always say, I'm not addicted. That's one thing. The second of all, what I've also noticed is then when people say like, well, if you're not addicted, why don't you not
Because
do
I
it
don't
for a
want to.
month? Because I don't want
Because I
to.
don't want to.
How interesting is that? And that is basically an addiction, an addiction language for saying, yes, you're right, I'm addicted because I don't want to. I can stop anytime, whenever I want to, but we
I
never
just don't
do.
want to.
I just don't want to. It's amazing. Yeah, it's amazing. Anyway, that was a little sidetrack there, but it just really resonated with me. So let's go back to the beginning. Can you talk about what your life looked like before things started to change, besides waking up in the morning with an 8 o'clock spliff?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, funny enough, I like to think I was actually very functional, to be honest with you. I was kind of like your standard boss babe, if you will. I was always an overachiever. Even like while I was in college, I had like a nice management job, good salary. And I feel like the funny thing about my story is I had everything that I was supposed to have on paper to be happy. I had a really good job. I got a really good education. I owned the building that I live in. I had my car paid off. I went on fancy vacations, went on nice dinners. But the thing is, I wasn't healthy inside, right? So, for starters, the weed addiction, I was smoking all the time. And I wouldn't say I had a drinking problem, but I definitely drank 2 to 3 times a week after work. And it was deemed more like, oh, like a little nightcap after work. And then the food, the relationship with food, it was because I was so busy working all the time, I never had time for myself to have recreational activities that didn't involve food. So my outings, my let loose times were going out to eat. And then it became oh, I eat out for every single meal. I like survived off Uber Eats for like 2 years, And it's like, oh, I have this super high paying job. So I could afford to have this really nice meal delivered to my house at any moment. So I was completely outsourcing my food, which, as you well know, is a 99.9% chance it's covered in seed oils and like the worst quality ingredients ever. Um, and then this is where it gets not so pretty, right? I hated my self-image. Like I hated my body. And the way that I would go about it was I would strategically dress a certain kind of way, and I was covered from head to toe, always in black. I kind of made it like a cool thing. Like I'm always in black. But the reality was that I had really low self-esteem. I hated what I saw in the mirror. And then whenever I would go through these like intense purges of eating, I wanted to have my cake and eat it too, which means I wanted to have all the yummy food, but I didn't want the scale to look, rough the next day. So I'd run to the bathroom and have very unhealthy ways to undo the damage. And that would just cause me to feel like crap all the time. And it was kind of just oh, I was good for 3 days because I did that 3 days ago. So I'm going to reward myself with a bad meal and then do it again, and it
Mm.
was just like the yo-yo effect.
Wow, so you ended up purging even because of the food you were eating and
Unfortunately,
because you weren't feeling good in your own body.
yeah. Like, it tasted g and that's, like, the crazy part, like, looking back on it, right? It tastes so good coming in, and then 10 minutes after you finish your meal, you're like, "Wow, I feel like crap. Why did I do that?" You know? And so, I would go undo it, and then that would make me feel even worse because now it's like a mental thing of logically, I understand, I follow, that's not normal, that's not healthy?
How long did that go on for?
To be honest with you, quite it was kind of a for everything really since high school. And the reason being is we didn't really talk about this, but in high school I competitively fought internationally, like martial arts, and I used to have to make weight for fights. This I wouldn't say was as malicious or intentional. It was more so like I did all the dieting and I have like a pound to go and I need to weigh in and I have to make weight. I'm gonna go do that thing. And it was like a once in a million years kind of situation. But because in the back of my mind, I knew that that was an option. Once I started becoming inappropriate in size, that that little like light bulb went on of like, oh, I have this option. I have this alternative of how to remedy this. And so I would say probably from the time I was 14 to beginning of Carnivore, so 14 to 2024, so 10 years.
Wow. What kind of martial art did you do?
Taekwondo.
Ah, amazing, amazing.
Yeah, kicking people
Oh,
in the
so
head.
yeah, yeah, no, I love MMA. I do kickboxing myself. I really enjoy mixed martial arts. Enjoy watching UFC and things like that. So I know about, not personally, but about the weight loss, basically the weight cutting, I should call it rather, and weight loss journey that you have in order to make weight. Right. So you had this as a tool, and then you started using that as a tool as well when you started to notice that you were getting bigger because of a wrong diet to kind of keep it under control, or what was the thought behind it?
Well, funny enough, it's kind of funny, right? So I think they went through phases. So I did when I did martial arts, I always stayed pretty lean, and I mean, I had to, right? Like, on a drop of a dime, I could have a competition coming up, so it's not like I could just blow up, and I couldn't pull a Patty the baddie. So
Yeah,
like I pulled
exactly.
out.
My God, he gets massive.
I saw this picture.
Yeah.
I don't know if it was edited, but, like, I got, like, chunky. I was like, "This is so funny."
Like his
Um,
face as well. He gets really big. Yeah. And then he
which
loses
is
enormous
crazy.
amount of weight. Yeah.
Well, it's insane how lean he gets. I'm like, that can't be good for the health though, the
No,
yo-yo.
no.
Um, so as I was saying, during my teenage years, I kept it pretty steady, like 10 pounds at most would come on. And we're talking about like 120 would be like my resting. If I was being naughty, I'd get to like 130, 135, but 15 pounds when you're an athlete, that's manageable. I had an injury. I've broken my nose like a million different times. And so I couldn't compete anymore. And I stopped training. I stopped competing. This was about when I was 19 years old and I got to college. Um, you know, my experience in college was kind of just like eat garbage to fuel myself. And I started putting on a little bit of weight. I got up to, like the freshman 15. I got up to like 150. Even then, I would say that I was probably still within the normal BMI, potentially slightly overweight, but nothing to cause concern. And then I would say COVID. COVID hit and yeah, I mean, some people use COVID to, like, get a six-pack. I used it to have a six roll pack, you know? I just I gained so much weight during COVID, and honestly, I would say from COVID on, it kinda just kept stacking. I would, lose maybe 5, 10 pounds and then put on 20. And it was just kind of progressively. I'd say that the highest I got was probably in 2022, and that's when I broke 200. That's when I broke 200, and after breaking 200, I don't know, I blinked and I was at 260, and it
Oh,
was rough.
wow.
Yeah, I got up to 260. In 2023, I took my mother to Europe and I look back at these vacation pictures and it's so heartbreaking because it was like the vacation of my dreams and I was like at my heaviest, at the most massive I had been. And I was like, man, I missed my picture opportunity. But yeah, it was once I got to 260, it was like, "Okay, I need to do something. I can't do this anymore." And I was like, "Come on, I used to be a professional athlete. I know what to do." So I started dieting. I started working out 5 times a week, sometimes 2 times a week, and there was some improvement, 10, 15 pounds, but I mean, I lost 10 to 15 pounds in 5 to 6 months, which is it's so discouraging because 'cause you're working so hard and you're barely seeing any progress.
What do you feel like contributed to that? Why didn't you lose more weight in such a long period of time? What type of dieting were you doing?
Well, believe it or not, I was actually counting all the like I said, I had done martial arts, so I was down to weighing my food. I think that I was probably just insulin resistant. I had like way too many carbs and sugar in my body to burn. It was practically impossible for me to ever get into a state of ketosis because of how much excess fat I had and how heavy my carb and sugar stores were. And, when you try to do the balanced diet, you still have a weekly cheat. You still have your little lingering things. And so, funny enough, I don't think that there's anything, I aggressively say this. I don't think there was anything wrong with the exercise that I was doing or the diet that I was doing. What was wrong was what we've been told about said uh, weight loss plan. The food that I was eating that was healthy and was supposed to contribute to my weight loss was all carbs and sugar. It had no nutritional value at all whatsoever. And so it's insane for me to have put in so much effort to lose the weight, it not have any results. And then for me to do carnivore, which is so minimal effort, so like easy peasy, 30 pounds 1 month. That's a pound a day.
Wow.
A pound a day. And after I experienced that, I was like, oh, What's going on?
Well,
What's
but
what is
it goes to show though that you were able to tap into your fat stores. It goes to show that you could go into ketosis, that even before when you were overweight and you were doing the standard dieting plan, it was just not the right hormonal response that you were getting out of your diet. Because clearly, and also just in your case, especially because you're young, your body isn't broken. Your body just been fat with the wrong nutrition, with the wrong fuel for so long. Maybe a different like amounts of that fuel, but still the wrong fuel to actually give your body that 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 jump start into ketosis. Yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah. So when you were dieting, like what time span are we looking at here? Because I'd like to frame it kind of. I'd like to see. You're talking about COVID was when it got really
2020.
bad. Then 2023 you went to Europe. That was kind of the your biggest.
Mhm.
And those diets you were doing was between COVID and 2023.
No, not really. I would say between 2020 was like broke 200 and kind of like leaned into the I'm fat and this is just my new reality and kind of just like was kind of being self-destructive, smoking a lot more, eating a lot more and not really doing much about it. I would say 2023 to 2024 was a pretty centered effort at losing weight, working out, weighing my food, trying to eat more whole foods, keeping my naughty treats to like once a week, and really having a goal of weight loss.
And when did you start realizing that that was just not working anymore?
I mean, I would say maybe a week before my flight to Europe. I didn't weigh myself the entire time because I was like I'm doing all this work and I feel good and I want it to be this grand surprise. And I got on the scale at the gym and I remember seeing I had only lost like 15 pounds before my trip and I was like you've got to be beep, like you've got to be messing with me. I worked out for like 6 months straight, was super clean with the way that I was eating for 6 months straight, and I lost 15 pounds, you know? I know that 15 pounds doesn't, you shouldn't discount it, but what's 15 pounds to somebody that's 150 pounds overweight,
Hmm.
you know? Um, and the thing was, well, what do you do? Do you just stop? Do you just go back to standard American diet? Of course not. So even though I was like, okay, this isn't working, I'm just going to keep at it. I got in this mentality of like you did all this damage to yourself and you didn't do it in 6 months. You did it over the span of years, so that's just how it's going to go. It's going to have to take maybe a couple years. I thought that it was going to take me years um to lose all the weight and to get to just a healthy normal BMI.
Yeah. And what was your relationship with food at the time? You talked about the binging, you talked about the purging, then you were smoking weed as well. What role did these two play in your life at the time?
I would say that my relationship with food was it was weird. I mean, I kind of glorified it. Like I said, I used it as a celebratory, recreational tool. And something now that I'm carnivore that I say all the time, food is not entertainment. And I absolutely used food as entertainment. Oh, I'm going to hang out with a girlfriend. Let's go get food. Oh, I had a rough day at work. Let's go get food. I had a great day at work. Let's go get food. I just got the munchies. Let's go get food. Oh, we're going to smoke. We should probably eat before. And it was kind of like my default entertainment tool. Whereas now it's like food is fuel. I needed to be able to feel good, look good, have energy and the ability to feed my son, and that's kind of the extent of it.
Yeah, yeah, I hear more people say that. But can we please agree, though, that having an absolutely amazing ribeye, dry aged, fried in tallow, that's not just only fueling
Yeah.
your body, that is actually pretty awesome.
Yeah, I mean, I did a ground beef challenge for 7 days last week, And on Monday, I literally the second my eyes opened in bed, I was like, I thought a ribeye and I'm ready to go. I'm gonna put it on the Barbie, and then man, I had the best breakfast with my husband. We like grilled a ribeye. I had yolky eggs to like dip it in. It was so good.
Nice.
It was so
Nice.
good.
All right. So tell me, then at some point, carnivore entered your life. How did that all happen?
My husband, he's the most incredible man on the earth. I may be biased, but I actually, funny enough, I met my husband online through a dating app, and I was very transparent because having children was something that was extremely important to me, and also, I am of the belief that hey, it's not, I know the body positivity people might get mad at me for this one, but looks matter. You want to look at your significant other and say you're hot, and they want to be able to say the same thing to you. And so I was very transparent. I was like, I'm overweight and I'm trying to work on it. I'm working really hard on correcting this and I'm doing this, this, that. And he said to me, if you really want to lose weight, why not try the carnivore diet? Sorry, give me 1 second.
Oh, here we go. Show us that little bundle of joy.
Look at this baby. Okay. Can
Time
you
for some
hear me?
carnivore food.
Oh, yeah. I'm telling you, man, I'm going to like raise a 6'8", 250 lean, mean killing machine. Um, so as I was saying, I told my husband, like, I want to lose weight. It's something I'm aware of. I'm working on it. And he said to me, well, I see that you're really committed to losing weight. I did the carnivore diet. I've been on it for 3 years now. And I lost 50 something pounds and, had all these incredible benefits. And like I said to you, 6 months, 10, 15 pounds, at this point, it's like, hey man, if it works, I'm willing to give it a shot. And within 2 days, my husband sent me an Amazon box. And the Amazon box contained a cast iron skillet, a what do you call it, a spatula, the carnivore book by Dr. Sean Baker. And I mean, I told it, I don't know, that arrived maybe like a Friday, a Saturday. And I said to him, I'm going to get all of my cravings out of the way. So that weekend, I was naughty as naughty could be. And come Monday, your girl was just eating ground beef every single day. That's it. That's all. Um, and funny enough,
I totally understand you say he's the best husband in the world. I mean, he sends you an Amazon box with a cast iron pan with Sean Baker's book, basically with everything that is needed to
oh, he
kickstart this
sent me the
journey. That's
carnivore starter pack for sure.
exactly. Yeah.
And it's funny because we had a baby shower at his office, like his job, um, and I don't know how the book came up, but somebody made a comment about the carnivore book, and one of his coworkers goes, "Oh, you got the book too?" And I start cracking up. I was like, "Is the book a thing here?" He was like, "Yeah, for everybody's birthday, he gets them the book." And so I guess for every occasion, that's what he does. He's trying to hand everybody the carnivore.
He wants
How
the best
to.
for everyone.
For sure, for
Yeah.
sure, which is funny because his boss kinda said it in a like, "Oh, like the book." And then I was like, "Man, I wish I would've gotten the book like 3 years ago. It would've saved me a lot of, time." But,
So you started on Monday. You basically you in the weekend you binged and you did everything that God forbids,
all the
basically
stuff.
dietary wise. And then on
That's right.
Monday, that was the start. When was that? I'm sure you remember the date because most carnivores remember exactly the
Oh,
day that they started or they count the
I
days.
actually I'm terrible at this. I actually don't. I literally have a note in my notes of, like, our anniversary, like, all this stuff. It was June something of 2024 because we literally started talking, and within maybe a week to 2 weeks, he was like, "Try carnivore," and I was like, "Okay." So June something of 2024, I started, and funny enough, I had 2 vacations, 2 holidays planned in July, and I went on 2 holidays on full-blown carnivore, and we stuck to it.
Amazing. How did you do that?
Yeah. Well, so I think it helps that I went to Latin countries. You know, Latin my culture tends to be pretty meat dominant.
Yeah.
The first vacation was Puerto Rico, and yeah, I was just eating a bunch of meat, literally. Now, granted, I'm sure it was full of like seed oils and, cooked in not the best ingredients, but I was eating eggs and meat and pork, and that was the only deviation. I was eating other meats other than red meat. I'd like to say accidentally started on the most restrictive version of carnivore. I started on lion diet, but it's because my husband was sneaky. He didn't tell me that you could have bacon and pork and chicken and all this stuff. He's like, you can only eat ground beef and ribeyes. That's it. So I started Lion, and I do believe that that's why I had as rapid results as I did, because I had the most restrictive version of carnivore to start. Um, then in Puerto Rico and then Colombia, I had eggs and beef and pork and whatever meat. As long as it was meat, it was good to go. Um, but when I got back to the States, right back right back to strict Lion.
So talk about the first 6 months. You started in June. Talk about those last 6 months of 2024 once you started carnivore.
I was on a high, really. I was watching the weight shed off of me every single time I ran into friends or family. You look great. What are you doing? I even got a surgery allegation. I had a girlfriend come up to me and she said, "When did you get your body done?" And I was like, "Girl, body done? No, ma'am. This is all diet." And that was like the best compliment ever. I'm Colombian, and so in my culture, it's very normal, very accepted for women to have like liposections and butt lifts and all the stuffs. Um, so when she asked me that, I was like, thank you. No, I didn't do that, but thank you. Yeah, I mean, I felt great. It was wonderful. I felt like, especially as somebody who had such a negative relationship with food, it was awesome to find a diet where I could eat until I was full and not have any guilt of this might tip the scale tomorrow. In fact, it was more beneficial for my weight loss for me to eat as much as I needed to fuel myself. So that was one of the first things I would say, like my relationship with food, instead of being afraid of hunger, that I'm hungry and I'm gonna eat and I'm gonna eat until I'm full. And that was really the extent of it. There wasn't mental gymnastics around it. So that was, I would say, my favorite part of it. Number two, the obvious physical changes. My skin started glowing. I was like, I don't think I need to do my makeup today. I feel like I look good, you know? Um, I would say a big one was my demeanor, my energy, my attitude. Like I said, I was working pretty high position jobs, so I was kind of always on edge and always stressed out. I remember my mind would always be racing. I remember going to sleep and closing my eyes and thinking, I have this meeting at 8 a.m. and I gotta send that email and that thing and I gotta talk to that guy. And carnivore calm is real. Carnivore calm is real. I was just so calm. I was so zen. Certain things that would like blow my top off, I'd be like, that's annoying, but we'll just fix it. We'll just correct it and move on. So yeah, energy, looks, and relationship with food.
Yeah, amazing. How much did you lose those first 6 months of 2024 after you started?
Man, I finished 2024. I want to say I started at 260. I probably got to like 180, 170. Yeah.
Wow, that's amazing.
Um and that was, I mean, it was insane. I felt good, I looked good. And the funny thing is I never thought I'd be upset about having to buy more clothes, but I kept having to buy more clothes. I kept shrinking and my clothes was like massive on me.
And in the meantime, you were continuing your workouts as well?
No, actually. So from the very first month, my husband told me, he was like, "Hey, I think you should try not working out and just focusing on your nutrition, and seeing how that goes." Losing the 30 pounds in 30 days without any exercise. I mean, I still did like walks and stuff like that, but definitely no going to the gym, lifting weights, cardio, none of that. Um, I kind of just stopped. I stopped. And I do think that that helped with the inflammation. I do believe that that helped me with controlling my hunger, because I was ravenous after a workout always. Um, and yeah, I mean, it didn't seem like I needed it anymore, and I felt healthy without it.
Yeah. And tell me, what changed internally as your body changed so dramatically externally?
I would say, like I said, my outlook. I think that the first thing that I noticed was the carnivore calm. That's the very first thing that I noticed internally. I wasn't as like on edge. I wasn't as like, ugh, ready to just tense and I don't know, ready to pounce at everything. That was the first thing. Number two, I would say I started seeing everything that was in front of me the entire time, for what it was. I always knew, like, Snickers are bad, chips are bad, they're not good for you. But I never realized how absolutely horrible they were for you. Um, and how kind of sick and perverted it is that they're so normalized and that they have such a just a normal everyday place in our lives and nobody really thinks about it. So I started becoming more conscious of that. And then 3, I would say, kind of like I noticed the how do I say it? Complete dismissal of the importance of being healthy by everyone. It was kind of like, "Hey, you look great. You look like you're doing really good, but that's the extent of it. I don't really care to find out how you did it. I'm okay staying the same." And I didn't really understand it, because prior to Carnivore on Instagram, whatever silly hot water with ginger and lemon thing that's gonna make you lose 1 billion pounds that I saw, I was like, "Oh, I'm trying that. I need to do something, right?" And so seeing how complacent and okay people were with just being unhealthy became significantly more noticeable and tangible for me.
Yeah. And your surroundings, family, friends, how did they react? Because a lot of people, of course, when you tell them I'm on an all meat diet, especially on just an all red meat diet, you must have had quite some comments there.
Yeah, absolutely. Um, to be honest with you, it was really funny for me to see exactly what I just said. "Oh my god, you look great. You've lost so much weight. You look so happy. Oh wait, you're eating meat. You're gonna die. You're gonna
Yeah.
die." And it's like, well, wait a minute. Didn't this conversation start about how healthy I look? Um, and it was literally like, "You look great. You look full of you're gonna die." Wait, that was quite the escalation. um, I would say that reaction was weird. Then I would see the kind of the people that would try to tempt me, like, "Oh, come on, just have a little bit of this. It's not that big of a deal. You can get back to your diet." And I don't think I don't think people understood. It was like, "No, I've had a cookie a million times and I feel like garbage after it, and it's going to send me down a like 2 to 3 day like bender, and I just don't want that." Like, I'm okay. I feel good and I don't want to go back to that. Um, I moved to Texas in that time and I started a new job, and it was interesting being able to start new relationships on a carnivore diet, because instead of people having that like previous like preconception of me, this was
Mm,
just me. this is just Aura. Like Aura just eats meat and that's like weird for 2 seconds, but like that's kind of just her and you know? Like
Yeah.
the whole, "Oh, hey, everybody want a cookie?" And then a girlfriend would be like, "Oh no, she doesn't eat that." And that was really refreshing. That was like, "Yeah, girl, I don't eat that. Thank you."
But how interesting is it? I mean, I'm sure that anybody who's carnivore and who's listening to this can resonate with this, and me too. How, oh, I don't even know how to say it. Like I have started to, and this is, okay, hear me gently. This comes with a lot of compassion to all of those who are eating lots of carbs. So I'm not saying this as a judgment. I'm just saying it as an observation. Everybody is addicted to carbohydrates. Whether they like it or not, they are. There's very few people who can control carbohydrates. Just like there's very few people who can control snorting coke, drinking alcohol, smoking cigarettes. It's an addiction. And then once you're out of that addiction and you're standing on the other side and you look back at it and you're like, oh my God, I was addicted. I was properly addicted, as we said earlier already as well. Now come these friends who, in the end, your friends love you. They want the best for you at all times. They're being presented, they're being shown a mirror of their own addiction, whether they see it or not, but they are being shown their addiction. And rather than looking inside and looking, for example, in this case at you and going like, my goodness, she is doing so amazingly well, I should copy her, they tell you, you should have a cookie. Come on, you only live once, you know.
A little bit.
It's kind of like saying if somebody knows that you've been an alcoholic, no one is going to be like, come on, have a beer. Have a beer. Because once you've been an addict, everybody knows you should never return to that substance again. Yet in society, it's so normal. Everybody eats carbs, everybody eats sugar, everybody eats craps and the crap and the Snickers and everything you said, that if you don't eat it, people kind of say like, yeah, you like have one, but you wouldn't say that to an ex-addict. You wouldn't say somebody who's been snorting coke on an evening like, oh, come on, have one line. You know they were an addict. It's so interesting, but people don't see it. And this is why I mean, like, this is with so much compassion and love for the people who are still dealing with it. But we're all carnivores. We are addicted to sugar. And when you're not addicted to sugar anymore, you're the weird one out. And it's so interesting what you say as well. It's like, you look amazing. You lost all this weight. Your skin is glowing. You're like, there's like a million things. I had a guest on the podcast the other day. He said, I came in the doctor with a list this big with amazing improvements. And when the doctor said, and the doctor was like, that's amazing. Wow. How did you do that? It's like, just eating meat. It's like, oh yeah, but your cholesterol. You know,
But
all of a
wait.
sudden, exactly, all of a sudden, all these amazing things are just offset by, in your case, oh, but you're going to die. It's, it's mind-boggling.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I completely agree. It's
Yeah.
it's insane. It's kind of like all the other even I've seen people who are a little bit slower to lose the weight and they're like, "Oh, carnivore didn't work for me." I was like, "Wait a minute. Didn't you get off like insulin? Wait a minute. I thought you were going to have some like surgery that they're going to open up your stomach and now you don't have to do it. But you didn't lose weight fast enough, so carnivore didn't work for me." What? What do you mean? You know?
Yeah. How many
But
people
that
have
yeah,
you
absolutely.
converted to carnivore? What?
Oh my
Tell me
god. So I'm so glad you
you must
asked
be a
that.
missionary as well now.
I am so glad you asked that. I actually have a little girl group chat going on called Primal Aura, and I've got 20 girls on there. And every day I send them this like my educational little spiel of the day, and it's awesome. We share our food pictures, we share recipes, we ask each other questions. Every time we have a newbie, they always usually it's like, oh hey guys, I'm going to the bathroom too often, or like my head hurts, like what's they'll go in with the like the newbie carnivore problems or questions and concerns, and it's so cool to see the little community that we created. And this all started barely in December. We just started this.
Amazing.
My account became a carnivore account just in December. So to see how much has happened in the last month has been absolutely incredible. Personally, that I take credit for, 20 girls, but I mean, down to the Uber drivers that I get into. Like I'm getting out of Uber, like, so yeah, man. Anyway, you should try carnivore. Thanks for the ride. You know, like I anybody that's willing to listen, I tell them about carnivore.
That's a very good point you're making. Anybody who's willing to listen, because that's the thing. There needs to be an opening. There needs to be some type
Absolutely.
of. Otherwise, you become just yet another Jehovah Witness who just knocks the door and people are not receptive. People need to be receptive. They need to at least show. At least this is my experience. At least go like, oh, okay. So how does that work? Once I hear a question like that, it's like, all right, now I've got a little hook in you.
Aha.
Now I'm going to tell you. But otherwise, yeah, you better just shut up because some people are just, there's this beautiful spiritual saying is when the student is ready, the teacher appears. And not everybody is ready.
Which is it's so interesting because my husband kinda helped me come to that realization because I definitely kinda it's I like your analogy there, Jehovah Witness. I think that I was a Jehovah Witness at first, kind of like trying to push it on people regardless of how kinda clear signs of like, I don't really care to hear it." But it's funny, now I just post my videos, man, that's it. I just post my videos. I talk about my incredible experiences, the beautiful, like the benefits that I'm reaping from this diet to this day. And on their own, they're coming out of the woodworks. People that I've definitely talked to about carnivore before that was just kind of like, now they're reaching out like, hey, so how does this go? And definitely my husband helped me come to that. You can't want something for someone else. You know,
Yeah,
this is to
yeah,
help them. So if they don't want it, you can't want it enough for the both of you.
yeah, yeah, totally. You also wrote me when we first got in touch and I asked you to write a little bit about yourself, about how you regained fertility and you were able to conceive since you started doing carnivore. Can you share a little bit more about that?
Yes, absolutely. So at my heaviest, I actually lost my period. I completely lost it. And at first I thought it was normal because I had been on I was already off birth control, but while I was on birth control, I had lost my period for about a year or so. Um, so it wasn't necessarily as scandalous for me to have lost my period. Knowing everything that I know now, I'm like, that's extremely problematic. That's extremely worrisome for a woman to lose her fertility and her menstrual cycle. And funny enough, with my husband, we were trying and no success. And then it was funny. The healthier I got. Once I got to, I would say, once I got out of the obese category, I mean, like that, we got pregnant. Um, it was incredible. It was incredible to witness. And then the pregnancy itself, my pregnancy is actually the reason we are having this conversation right now. My pregnancy was so beautiful, so healthy, so symptom free that I said to myself, I have to tell other women about this. I have to. Because, once you get pregnant, you get all the warnings. You're going to have the worst back pain. You're never going to sleep again. And your nose is going to get swollen and ugly and all of the terrible, symptoms, even weight gain, right? When I got pregnant, I got so scared. I said to myself, man, I have had all this progress. I've lost all this weight and now I'm pregnant. I'm going to gain it all back. And that was just kind of because of what the general idea of what pregnancy does to you made me believe. And au contraire, I had the most beautiful pregnancy. I lost 30 pounds on my pregnancy, during my pregnancy. Baby
Wow.
developed perfectly. Yeah, I did. I mean, most people are like, huh, 30 pounds? And I wasn't. I wasn't starving myself. I wasn't at the gym working out like crazy. I was eating my same red meat, same quantities, no problem. And I still lost 30 pounds during my pregnancy. I had no pains, no aches. I slept like a baby. Every midwife appointment, baby was measuring exactly how they were supposed to. And at 9 months pregnant, I had been the lightest. At 9 months pregnant, I got to my 19-year-old body weight. And
Wow.
I said to myself, this is crazy. This is crazy. I look the best I've looked since I was 19 years old at 9 months pregnant. This is crazy. This is insanity. I have to tell people about this. I have to tell people about this. And yeah, I mean, so that was kind of my fertility and conceiving. um the birth is kind of the that one was the crazy one.
Come on, then. Tell us all about it.
Yeah? Okay, I was like, "All
For
right, I
sure.
don't know if I'm going too long." Uh, the birth was insane. So, my husband and I, carnivore diet to us is as optimal for our health as it is because of the ancestral place that it has, right? This isn't a fad and this isn't like the new trend. This is what, as a species, we are supposed to eat, and we have eaten since the beginning of time. And we like to look at indigenous tribes that thrive off this way of living. And once we got pregnant, we looked into these indigenous, if we think that they have their way of eating correctly, what else do they have correctly? And we looked into childbirth, and they claim that they had painless, easy, like no problem births, which is the absolute opposite of what we told birth is today. It's so dangerous and it hurts and it's excruciating, all these terrible things. And we really bought into it, and we decided, if we live in accordance to the way the human species is supposed to, if we eat in accordance to the way that the human species is supposed to, we should have that painless, easy, you know, just another day kind of birth. And sure enough, my birth was beautiful. I like to call it fast and furious because it was so fast. My midwives didn't even make it. It was just my husband and I at home. That's it. And it started, so this is January 2nd, and it was about 6 p.m. And it's funny, I tell my husband, my body knew that I was going to go into labor before I knew I was going to go into labor. And that doesn't mean what you think it means. It doesn't mean I had aches and pains. It means, you know, I take a bath every single day before I go to sleep. Every single day. And I was taking my nightly bath as I would any other day. Something in my body told me, call your husband and tell him to come into the bathroom. And I'm like, this is so weird, but I listen. I call my husband. He's in the backyard, but I call him over on the phone, and I was like, "Hey, babe, can you come?" And I said, "Can you set the mood? Can you set the mood for me?" And he looks at me and he goes, "Do you think today's the day?" And I said, "I don't know. There's nothing really, like, I don't feel anything, but can you just do it? Can you just set the mood?" He turns off the light, turns on some candles, cleans up a couple things, put the dogs, like, in the backyard, one of them in the cage, whatever. Within 10 minutes, I start feeling like really crampy. And I'm like, I've had cramps in the last couple weeks. It's my last month of pregnancy. Nothing major. Another 10 minutes go by. So now we're 20 minutes past the set the mood. And I'm on a FaceTime call with my mom, and I was like, I need you to buy a ticket for tomorrow to be here tomorrow. And she says, are you in labor? And I said, no, but just buy the ticket. Just buy the ticket. She says, okay. Man, within 10 minutes, I start going in labor. I spent about 2 hours in bed, just kind of like having uncomfortable cramps, not feeling the best, but it wasn't painful. It was like a menstrual cramp, and it was more so annoying because it was like ongoing. I even took a nap with my husband. We took a 30-minute nap. Okay, no biggie. I still have the cramps, and I was like, okay, I'm gonna take a nice warm bath so that I feel a little more relaxed. I take a bath, and again, I'm so relaxed. I took another nap. It was about like a 40-minute nap just in the bathtub, warm water. And then I feel like the best way to describe it is I went from a nap to feeling my body just kind of like lift itself, like these surges. And I wasn't pushing, I wasn't doing anything. My body was just, I don't know, levitating, grow like lifting itself up. And I was just breathing through it. Within 20 minutes of the starting of the levitating, my son was born. And out of those 20 minutes, I want to say maybe 10 minutes. 10 minutes were painful. 10 minutes were like, I think something's happening. And it was insane. I was in the bathtub. I was getting these surges. I call my husband over. And I remember looking at my husband and I said to him, I was like, babe, I'm having this baby right now, like right now. And he's looking at me like, okay, let's go to the room. Like, let's go to the bedroom. He helps me out of the shower. He helps me out of the bathtub. We make our way over to the bedroom. And the entire time, I would like to think that I'm in control mentally. Like, it's painful, it's a little scary, and this is the first time I say anything out loud that's not negative, but I look at my husband and I said, "Babe, this hurts and I'm scared, but I know that if I lean into this, we will have our baby. We will have our baby right now." And he's like, "You could do this." And then I kind of just go into a trance, man. I was like, I could do this. My body was made for this. Like, I got this. My baby knows what it's doing. I know what I'm doing. And that's it. I got on my hands and on my knees. One push, heads out. Another push, torso's out. Another push, boom, baby. And that was it. That was it. It was beautiful. There was no tearing, there was no hemorrhaging. Baby was healthy. I don't know how much of Dr. Anthony Chafee you watch, but I like to say Dr. Anthony Chafee would be very proud. My baby's head circumference came in 4 inches above average because he's a nice carnivore baby. Um, and it was just beautiful. It was beautiful. It wasn't chaotic. It was intimate and it was safe and it was perfect.
What a beautiful story. Thank you for sharing.
Yeah. Yeah. I wouldn't have had it any other way.
I can imagine.
It was just funny, like, the family members were upset of like, "Oh, well, what do you mean the midwives didn't make it?" And to be fully transparent, that first night, my husband and I were like, "I can't believe they didn't show up or they didn't make it or whatever." But the next day, we were like, "You know what? I don't know if we would have had this beautiful, intimate birth story to share if they were here," you know?
Yeah.
Looking back at it, I don't know if I would have wanted 2 ladies that they weren't strangers, but they weren't my husband, you know? I don't know how they would have affected, the way things went and the energy in the atmosphere. So, it was perfect.
Beautiful. What did that experience confirm for you about your body?
I would say exactly what I said to you in the very beginning of this conversation. Life isn't a gamble, you know? I am not some, predisposed, skinny, healthy person. I am a person that was morbidly obese. I am a person that lost her fertility. I am a person who was not the beacon of health, right? And when you become a warden to your body rewards you. Your body functions in the most beautiful optimal sense. And I don't accredit any of my birth success, any of my pregnancy success to anything but eating the proper food to fuel my body in order for it to function the way that it's supposed to. And two, again, fueling my body the way that it's supposed to so that my brain can have that mental fortitude to do the most natural thing that a woman does, bring life.
Amen. Wow. If somebody is listening and they recognize themselves in part of your story. What do you hope they hear?
I want them to hear that you don't have to be displeased with the way you feel, with the way you look, with any aspect of your life. You are in control. You can change the script, and it's never too late. It's never too late. Um, you not only have the right, you have the authority to take control of your life and to do a full 180, to be a full 180. I hated what I saw in the mirror once upon a time ago, and now I feel like $1,000,000, you know? Um, and the funny thing is, we're not done. We're not even close to done. Um, it's I still have some weight to lose. I'm sure that there's still some healing that needs to be done. And the carnivore diet is not just about weight loss. That's an incredible benefit, but it's not just about weight loss. Your entire life outlook will completely change. I do feel like I'm a new person, and for any naysayer, all I say is give it a shot. Give it a shot. Everybody's tried keto, paleo, vegan, all the stuff. Very few people try carnivore. Try carnivore for 30 days. If you like it, incredible. Welcome to the team. Welcome to the dark side. We gladly accept you. And if you don't like it, hey, no harm, no foul. But we know you're going to like it.
It's yeah, I totally agree. I see so much hate online against carnivore. And of course, the worst hate comes from the vegans, which I can understand because there's also a part of ethics involved, where the way we treat animals. I get it. But even kind of the regular people, I'm in a lot of health groups, and the moment they smell you are animal based / carnivore, they're onto you like flies on shit.
Yeah.
And I almost feel like they they know we're onto something, but there's so much cognitive dissonance that the only thing they can express is kind of hatred in a way. In
Anger. Yeah.
on a scale, it's not all hate, but being negative up until just plain hate and sarcasm and cynicism. Why would you be so negative if it didn't actually apparently it touches something inside of you? Apparently there is something inside of you that goes like, shit, maybe they're right. Maybe they're right. Damn. It's so interesting.
Well, Patrick, you got to understand the vegans. I think that the reason that they have this animosity is because if they concede that carnivore is king, then that means they also have to admit that they're wrong. And I think that there's two different kinds of people, right? There's either the people who are like, no, no way, there's no way in hell I can ever admit being wrong. And then there's the people that were like, shit, that sucks. It sucks that I took so long to get to that point, but I guess I was wrong.
Yep.
And that's why, I've had a little back and forth here and there with the naysayers, and I always tell them this, "Hey man, I know that it's easy and I know that it's fast to say that I'm some crazy lunatic. Let me tell you where this crazy lunatic got her sources. I read this piece of literature, I watched this YouTube video, I really like this doctor, and I'm a person. I'm a human being. I lived this, I experienced this, and all I say is give it a shot, man. Give it 30 days. Try it. And if you're not willing to read the literature, if you're not willing to watch the videos, if you're not willing to try it, then all we got here is a head in the sand approach. And I mean, you just want to argue at that point. And carnivore calm's real, man. I'm going to go eat a ribeye. You can stay mad. Hey, if you don't want to look into it, you don't have to look into it. But before you call me crazy loony, this is why this crazy loony believes what she believes.
Yeah. All right. Is there anything that we haven't discussed that you feel is important for people to hear?
No, I don't think so. I think we covered it. I hope I didn't rant too
It
much.
was it was pretty solid, wasn't it?
I think so too. Yeah.
Yeah. Amazing. Thank you so much for sharing your story. If people want to follow you online, you're on Instagram, maybe some other channels, tell us, where can they
Yeah,
find you?
absolutely. At Carnivore Aura, at Carnivore Aura. Um, we just post some like funny reels, some informational reels, cooking for my husband. I have my little sous chef that grills with me all the time. At Carnival Aura on Instagram and on TikTok.
Amazing.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for sharing your story. It's super inspirational. I really enjoyed how you shared, well, also how everything was for during your pregnancy. I hope that there are women watching who are having issues with fertility, who are inspired by your story. And if so, if anybody is watching this and you are inspired by Aura, please leave a comment down below, like the video, perhaps even forward the video to somebody you know who could do with a little bit of help. Subscribe to the channel. And all that is left for me to say, thank you very much for watching, and I shall see you next time. Welcome to your upgrade.
Thank you.
Thank you for watching the Patrick Alexander podcast.